what's going on, guys? It's your boy Mr. Action, back at you with another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. And on today's episode, we are going to be doing a comparison review of the Marvel Legends series X-Men's 97 Jean Grey, and we are going to be comparing her to the Jean Grey that was a part of the Love Triangle 3-pack, which up until this point, a lot of people, consider to be, the best Jean Grey that we have gotten from Marvel Legends. Now, just like many of you, and I know that I am late to the party, a big reason why I was, a bit skeptical about, getting this newer Jean Grey was due to the articulation or the lack of articulation that I had seen in the promotional images. It definitely had me scratching my head as to far as how we were going to get the articulation in the, in the diaphragm or, the ab crunch. Then it was further revealed that, the ab crunch would be actually be replaced with a ball joint. So not too many times do we see ball joints on, Marvel Legend figures, specifically female figures. I think, another ball joint that we may have had on a female figure before in the past was probably Lady Deathstrike. Yes, Lady Deathstrike actually had a ball waisted joint. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a quick look at these figures, man, and see if this upgrade is worth it or not. So starting from the top, one of the first noticeable changes that we got with the newly released Jean Grey figure is the digital face printing that they did for the face sculpt, man. And honestly, I really do dig, the advancement of the technology that they're able to, really do the paint on the faces, because as much as I do like the previously released Marvel Legends, I can honestly say that the newer released version of this Jean Grey, the face just seems to be more clean in a sense. And it's not to take away from how good to me, in my opinion, this is. Now, where these figures differ to me the most, honestly, is going to be in the head sculpt with the hair. One of the complaints or one of the controversies with the newer Jean Grey was a lot of people kind of felt like the hair for the figure was a bit flat, especially when we're comparing it to the 3 Love Way Triangle 3-pack, Jean Grey. It's just a night and day difference. Let's go ahead and get that to focus. So we see with the older Jean Grey, there's just a lot more detail. The hair is more dynamic as far as, what I'm saying, just like the sway of motion. And I feel like that's gonna really help you when it comes down to like the posability. And it's crazy to me like how important that is, because just coming back and taking a look at the newer X-Men 97 Jean Grey, man, I really do dig the digital printing for the facial details. Again, as I mentioned before, it is much more cleaner than what we have with the 3-way Love Triangle 3-pack. But the biggest difference for me, honestly, again, is gonna be the hair, man. The hair is just night and day. And when it comes down to the hair sculpts between each figure, I'm gonna have to give 1 point over to the Marvel Legends when it comes down with the hair sculpt. Then taking a look at the secondary head that we get with the 97 series Jean Grey, man, the digital printing on, I can't really stress it enough, man. It just looks overall really nice. But again, with the complaint that we had with the previous head sculpt, regarding the hair, again, is that it's just very flat, man. There's just a very lack of detail. Then taking a look at the ponytail here, we do get some articulation, and I do like that. But the bad part with having it articulated is that it can come out, and just like as you guys just seen there, it did fall out. So let me go ahead and grab that real quick. So on the back of her head, she does have this peg hole, and you can basically take the back of your ponytail and plug it in there. You just got to be careful when twisting it and rotating it, because again, it can come out. And then when we compare it to again the Love Triangle 3-pack, again, man, I just feel like the overall detailing in the hair is just much better, man. You can see a lot more detail in there, man. Then moving down into the chest area, this is probably where I'm gonna have my next complaint with the newer 97 series Jean Grey is, when we take a look here at the breast area or the bust area, it just seems more pronounced on the previous Jean Grey that we had released before. So it just looks better sculpted to me, in my opinion. Here, just again, the mid torso section, it just looks off to me for some reason. You know, where the light bounces off, you know, to me, I feel like it should be a little bit more flat here. I don't know, man, it just looks weird to me. You know, up till now, it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to force it to grow on me, but at the same time, it's not really growing on me. And here on this jean gray, you know, her hips seem to be more pronounced. You know what I'm saying? She has kind of more of a shapely shape to her going. And then here, it's kind of like, she kind of does have it, but it's not as much as here per se. Then the next thing, you know, is taking a look at the shoulders here. They're very cheap. I feel like if I pull it off, it'll break. But again, I'm pretty sure that's due for, like, you know, articulation purposes, so that way you can raise up her arms. But then when we take a look here at this one, you know, the plastic is a little bit on the harder side, but I don't feel like it takes away. Well, okay, maybe it does. So you are going to get a little bit of hindrance of the articulation with the shoulder pads that she has here. Honestly though, I would kind of prefer, you know, the shoulder pads here. They do look a little bit more, you know, just better to me in my opinion, as opposed to these, you know, real cheap plastic ones. Then taking a look over here at the side of the arms, you know, I do like the sculpt work here, how they have like that patch on her arm there, as opposed to this one being painted. But then they kind of went backwards for me here with, you know, the shin. You know, I do understand why they probably did it for a design choice, but I do like the fact that, you know, this here, you know, her shin guard, or not her shin guard, or her forearm guards are, you know, they're a separate piece. If I remove the hand, actually, they actually come off. And then if you wanted to put her regular hand in there, you could do that too as well, just to kind of switch up the costume a little bit if you wanted to. But I do like that feature. You know, with this one, unfortunately, you can't do that. But you know, it is what it is. Then moving over to the belt, the 97 series jean gray has definitely a nice belt. I do like the paintwork on there, man. It looks very nice, man. It is very clean, very, very, very clean. Then with the Love Triangle 3-pack, we do see that her belt is a separate piece. Unfortunately, you know, the paint over time is going to get some wear and tear, and it is going to chip. So the paintwork is not as clean. You know, surprisingly enough, I actually do prefer the belt on, you know, the 97 series jean gray as opposed to this one, but you know, hit or miss, take it or leave it. Then moving right down onto the legs, I think this is probably the biggest improvement that we actually have gotten, you know, with the newer jean gray, as opposed, you know, to the one before. You know, these legs here are definitely beginning to show their age. However, there is, you know, one thing that I do like about the older jean gray legs is that here on the side where she does have the padding that is sculpted on there, that is a separate part, and I do like it because it kind of makes the figure more 3D, more realistic in a sense. With the newer one here, you know, there's definitely a lack of the padding, unfortunately, so we do get the trade-off with the nice, you know, seam lines in there. And you know, I think the seam lines actually came out pretty good. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you, I really like, you know, the sleek design. It definitely comes off a lot more streamlined. Overall, I just think that these legs are just a lot better to me, in my opinion, than, you know, the ones that we had here previously. And how can I forget? What were you looking at, Scott? So taking a look at the back of the figure here, we can definitely see the difference is plain as night and day. You know, the back of the figure here is definitely more pronounced here than on the back. You know, the costume design here is more accurate. I do like the way how it comes down and it goes into, you know, the buttocks area here. You know, the costume design is a little bit different. You know, this looks clean, I will say that. When we're taking a look at the side profile, I will say that the legs go into the butt more flush. So, you know, there's not really that much gappage here. You know what I'm saying? It's nice. But then when we take a look at this one here, you are going to see, you know, a little bit of gappage there. And that's even with, you know, the legs being put back. So that is one thing to note. You know, definitely the bottom portion of this figure is definitely beginning to show its age. I will say that much. Now jumping into some articulation, starting off with the head. Our Jean Grey's head here is on a double ball peg, so we are going to get a pretty decent range of motion. She can look up about this much. Just be wary of that ponytail, it is a bit fragile. And she can look down about this much. Now also because of that double ball peg, it is also going to allow her to get a nice pivot looking side to side, so that's definitely going to help you with your posability. You know, it can definitely give her some attitude. When we compare that to the love triangle Jean Grey, you know, her head is on a hinge, so you are going to get a really good range of motion looking up. So you know, this is a character that flies, so her looking up is definitely always going to be good, and you can get a fair range of motion of her looking down, which is also good. Then jumping down over here to the shoulders, you know, we can get that T-man pose, which is really nice. Even though I do feel like this here is cheap, it is going to allow you more range of motion, more so than the love triangle 3-pack. Then we also do have bicep swivel, which the love triangle 3-pack does lack that. And then we also do get double jointed elbows way beyond 90 degrees, which is also really good. And this is where, you know, our love triangle Jean Grey is really going to struggle. Even though, you know, bicep swivel wouldn't really be needed so much here. So I mean, I guess in certain cases you could argue and say that it would definitely would have benefited if we would have gotten some double jointed elbows. Unfortunately, her elbows bend not even past 90 degrees. That's the most bend that you are going to get from them, which is, you know, a big bummer. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you want to get her in positions where, you know, she's trying to touch her head or something like that. You know, with this, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to do that. As opposed with this one here, we can see that, you know, if you wanted her touching her head to show you that she's using her power, you can get a much better range. I mean, the difference is just, you know what I'm saying, it's night and day. Night and day. Then moving down into the controversy or the skepticism itself, taking a look at the ab or the diaphragm, and you know, when it comes down to the articulation, you know, it is on a ball joint, which I would have thought that, you know, Hasbro would have definitely taken this opportunity to really utilize it, but you're not going to really get that much range of motion. So going forward, that's all you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? That is literally all you're going to get. Not that much range of motion. Going back, however, you are going to get, you know, a nice tilt back. You are going to get some minor gappage there. The belt does kind of cover that a little bit, so you are going to be good. And you are going to get some side to side. But again, you know, with the side to side, there is going to be some gappage there, so just be mindful of that. With this older one here, you know, we do have, you know, the diaphragm cut, and, you know, I really can't talk, you know, about, you know, the 97 series one, because, you know, this is the most that she's going to get, you know, for her crunch. You know, just to show you guys, you know, a comparison, you know, there's really not much of a difference, you know, if I'm gonna be completely honest. You know what I'm saying? Not that much of a difference. Going back, you know, you can definitely get more here. With this one, you can actually get about a good fair amount. So I would say, you know, going back, stretching back, get that to focus, stretching back is definitely gonna be roughly about the same. And then, you know, with this one, at least I will say that you can get some waist rotation. I guess, you know, the ball peg works as double waist rotation. You know, with this one, you are not going to get that, unfortunately. Then moving down over here to the legs, we are going to get, you know, some nice splits going on here, which I think that works relatively well. With the older Jean Grey, unfortunately, we are not going to get that much range of motion. You know, she can't really get the splits going on too good at all. Then taking a look at the thigh cut, we got 360-degree swivel rotation, and then we also have double jointed knees, which extend, you know, way past 90 degrees. I definitely do like that. And then we also do have the hinges on the feet that go down about this much. They come up, and they also do have pivot. On your love triangle, you're pretty much going to have the same thing. You are going to have that thigh cut, and again, you know, this is definitely starting to show its age. You know, I do got some gappage there. Hopefully yours doesn't look like that. Then we also do have double jointed knees, and then we also do have the same articulation on the leg, you know, down, up, side to side. So despite my skepticism with this newer Jean Grey's ab articulation, it does appear that, you know, the overall articulation is better on the newer Jean Grey. You know, specifically within the elbows. It's really nice to see that, you know, with the newer female Marvel Legend figures, we are actually, you know, starting to get double jointed elbows. And, you know, especially with Jean Grey, you know, she is a character that has, you know, telekinesis. So it's definitely important, you know, for her to be, you know, seen, you know, touching her head to show you that she's using her power. So the question is she worth it? Is this new Jean Grey worth replacing your three-way love triangle 3-pack? I guess the answer is going to really depend on you, but my answer is yes. I definitely think she's worth it. I definitely think, she definitely deserves a chance. So once again, thanks for checking out another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. If you guys like my content and you've liked what you watch, please like and subscribe, as it tremendously helps out my channel and the YouTube algorithm. I'm definitely trying to help build this channel up, so if you guys want to help me with that by subscribing, that would greatly appreciate it. So once again, thanks for checking us out. Have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.